Hello violinists, welcome to Pro Am Strings. I'm Henriette and this is lesson 35 in the violin class for beginners that uses the Crickboom method. So welcome back. I'm hoping that before this lesson you will have covered lesson 33 and 34, otherwise this one will get a little bit more difficult. Today we are learning exercise 57 if you have a red book, or exercise 80 if you have an older edition of this book. So let me play that for you first. So suddenly we are getting a lot more advanced a piece. Now this tune is about intervals of fourths. Now I can totally understand when you ask me what on earth is a fourth, and we're counting the intervals, so the distance between two notes, and we're just counting every one of those notes. For instance, you have a fourth in bar 2. So in bar 2 you've got a D, that is our first note. Then in between the next note and the D is E, F, G. So the interval between D and G is an interval of a fourth. That's just a musical term that we're gradually taking on board as well, so don't worry if you find that a bit confusing right now. I'll point the fourths out to you and then we can gradually get to grips with those. Take a look now at the fourth bar. There's also a fourth in the fourth bar, and that is between an E, first finger on the D string, and a fourth finger on the D string, which is an A. And we recognize that that is a fourth because we're just counting the notes E, F, G, A, and you can count to 4 when you include all of those, so the starter note and the end note. E, F, G, A is a fourth as well. And when you practice those, you start to tune into the fourths where they are. Another example is 2 bars later, is the 6th bar, where we've got an F to a B, F, G, A, B. You can see that is also an interval of a fourth. So let's now get your violin and let's play it together. Now in earlier lessons we have said you always leave your fingers down on the string and add a finger to what you already have, and that is particularly valid when the notes follow on from one note to the next, so they go in the order of a scale. Perhaps you can remember that in lesson 32 we practiced the D scale, and then when you played all those notes you left your fingers down on the string. Now when you play fourths you don't necessarily leave all your fingers down, you leave down what you can, and quite a lot of the time you will play the second note of this fourth interval, and then while you play that note then you put your middle 2 fingers down, and I'll show you what I mean by that. If I start from the beginning I'll go like this. by the rules that we've set out initially, you would play like that, and you'd have your first and second fingers on the string together with the third finger. For some people that is extremely challenging, so I'm going to let you off the hook a little bit, and if you find it easier to play D to 3, you can play just the 3, but then as soon as you've hit your third finger, try to get your fingers on the string just after. And the reason for that is that your first finger comes next, you see. Your first finger here you can leave down while you play 4, but as you hit the 4, try to place your other fingers down as well. Now, we're going super slow because it requires some thinking while you play, but I'll talk you through as we go. So let's start from the beginning now. I'll count us in. We're going to go a little bit more slowly, and I want you to use the whole bow for every note. So check out what's going on with your left hand. And third finger now. Now try to leave your other fingers down or place them while you play the third finger. 1, second finger close together, fourth finger, try to now get your other fingers in gear. 2 is next. Now try leaving your second finger on the D string while you play the first finger on A. Let's go up to here, shall we? So you notice perhaps that a whole lot of things are happening, and I'm very happy if initially you get just 1 or 2 of those things. Please don't think that you need to get every bar right from the start right now. No, while you practice you get better and better, and eventually you'll play all your fingers on the string, but for now I'm not too bothered if you add your fingers later. Shall we play that again from the beginning then, shall we? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's look into slightly more detail in a couple of bars of this section that we've just played, which people might find a little bit tricky. So my first bar that I'm going to practice is the second bar of this piece, and that goes from a D straight to 3 fingers on that D string. So let's try that a couple of times, shall we? Are you joining me? And again. You might say, okay, I can actually place all my fingers, but in the old finger pattern. Remember, this piece also has the new finger pattern with the low second finger, but you might find it easier to go like this, D3, placing all your fingers but in the old finger pattern, you see. Can we practice that a few more times? And over time. I wouldn't worry too much about trying to place that second finger down here, because it's, for most people it's just too difficult to do. Now this time take a look at bar 4, where you play 1, 4. So finger 1 first. It's E to the 4th finger on the D string. Have you found your place? Here we go. And that's it. Now here I'm happy when you leave just your first finger on the string, so not to worry too much about fingers 2 and 3, so long as they hover, so long as they're not below the fingerboard there. So just 1, 4, 1, 4. Let's practice that again, shall we? And you will find that your pinky is going to find its direction a bit more easily over time. So let's practice it once again. 1 and 4. There we are. Now what you might practice as well is not to go too far away with that 4th finger, but leave it right there. A 4th finger can be round or it can be flat. There's not a great rule. One violin school says one thing and another violin school says, and another school of violin playing says something else. So whatever suits your pinky. If it gets locked, your pinky, you might find the way that it doesn't hurt, because that is one thing we want to avoid, your little finger hurting when you place it down. Okay, so place it either straight or either curved, whatever is suitable for your hand. So we're practicing a few more times, finger 1 to 4 on a D string, and this is bar 4 in our piece. And good job. Let's find bar 6 now, and let's play 2 fingers on the D string followed by 1 finger on the A string. Let's try that again, shall we? And this time, if you can possibly leave your 2nd finger on the D string, that would be great. If you feel that you haven't quite got a tunnel underneath your fingers here for the B, the 1st finger on A, to ring, bring your elbow a little bit further under the violin so that your fingers come a little bit more over to the left side. Okay, let's do that again. 2. So if you're not quite making it yet, that's okay. This is a difficult technique. Wriggle your elbow a little bit more. We'll do it one more time. Smashing. Give your arm a well-deserved rest in your hand, because that is hard work for a left hand. Now then, let's find our next 4th, which is, in my book, is the 1st bar of the 2nd line, where we play the 3rd finger on D, followed by the 2nd finger on A. And again, I want you to try, while you play the 2nd finger on A, to leave your 3rd finger on the D string down, if it's possible. Here we go, and if it doesn't work, reset your fingers. Again tomorrow, and you'll be all right with that. Now let's find the A followed by 3 fingers on A, which is the 3rd bar of the 2nd line, and that is the 10th bar of our whole piece, the 10th bar. A to 3 on A. Here we go, and you hopefully find that this one is a lot easier again compared with the previous 2. Now we've got one more to play. B to E, 2 bars later, bar 12. And again. Awesome, you've got a real good amount of practice there. So let's now join the first 2 lines up to the rest, up from the beginning, shall we? Keep slow and... That's improving all the time, isn't it? Brilliant. Now, whilst we give your left hand a little break, let's just think about what all these notes are called. So we're starting here on a D, and the next note is called E, D, G, E, F. This little flat line here means fingers close together, so we're practicing our finger pattern as we have been doing in recent lessons. So E, F, then we get E, A, F, G, F, B, G, A. Have another go on the second line. G, C, A, B, A, D, B, C. And we've seen earlier here that that second finger on A is also close to the first finger, and therefore it's called a C and not a C sharp. So this bar is called B to C, and again that flat line means fingers close together. Then we've got B, E, C, and this thing here is a minim rest or a half note rest. Now I'm hoping that your hand will have rested enough. Let's pick up your violin again and let's play the second half of this piece. So when you're ready, let's get the 4th finger on the A string, and you might do this. So you've got all your fingers ready. 1, 2. I think most of you will agree with me that this section is much easier than the first half. Part of that is because before we started, this section on the fourth finger, we put all our fingers down on the A string. So let's do that again, shall we? It's always easier to take fingers away, it seems, doesn't it, rather than add fingers. Now what I'm going to practice is the first bar of the third line, where you go from the fourth finger to the first finger. Let's practice that, shall we? Awesome. Let's play after the rest now, and let's see if we can hit another place where it's a bit more challenging. So we're going from, in my book, this is the last bar of the second line. We're starting in the same place after the rest. And because I think this bar, going from B to F, first finger on the A string to the second finger on D, this is in my book the last bar of the third line, that is a tricky one. And what you might do, just like this second finger comes right next to the first finger, if my first finger was on the D string, it's also the case now that my first finger is on A, it's also together, but you've just played on different strings, but that really doesn't matter. So you might practice it like that and then hop your first finger over. You see, so you are very aware that the second finger is next to a first finger. Let's play that same bar again, B to F. And again. Let's carry on now. Hold it here a moment. If you can manage, please play your first finger and your second finger on the string together. This is 3 bars from the end. Awesome, very good work. Now, shall we put all of this together now? So we're going from the beginning all the way through to the end. And this time, if you've got any brain space left to be thinking about something, let's get our stance going. We haven't talked about our stance for quite a while now, haven't we? So perhaps it's good to get that back in. Step forward a little bit with your left foot, and then you wriggle forwards and backwards. Be careful not to sway while you play, but you go forwards. You gently rock forwards and backwards and not a sideways sway. Are we ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. practicing. Well done. Very good. Very useful study this. So you're progressing all the time, and I'm super pleased with that. And we are, of course, working towards the study that comes a little bit later. Perhaps you've glanced ahead already in your book. So all of these techniques, practice them as well as you can, because you're going to benefit from it very soon when we play this study. So thank you very much for sticking it out with me to the end of this video. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and write any comments in the comment section down below this video if you have any questions or comments. I very much look forward to seeing you again soon. Goodbye.